All right, let's talk about Zach Wilson of the New York Jets. What went right here and what went wrong here for the Jets? Really, listen, I think a lot of criticism could easily be thrown Zach Wilson's way after this game. At the end of the day, they had one scoring drive up until the final seconds of the game, and that one scoring drive was kind of a check down, which resulted in a 50-yard touchdown. So certainly you could throw some blame on Wilson, and, watching tape, there is some blame to be had, but also I think some good stuff here by Zach Wilson. It's both. So let's start off with this play. What's going to happen is you kind of see it on the screen. It's going to be a rollout towards the bottom of the screen, and it's that underneath route that you're going to look towards here for Wilson. It's a 3rd down and 5, and this is where he's going to look to throw the football. Right off the bat, you're going to see that immediately there is pressure up front, and I would give credit to some degree for Wilson of, Thibodeau was kind of in the passing lane. He didn't just throw it right away. He waited a little bit trying to get this ball over there because, again, that's how bad passes and interceptions can happen. So that part I would say is actively good. Also, the player he's trying to throw the football to, 82 there, a little bit of image distortion on this screenshot of the image. So that's why he looks like he has a very interesting midsection. But yeah. But for Wilson, okay, here's what you have to do. You have to try to find a way to, wall off balance, throw over the top of Thibodeau, and hit your receiver. That's what you want to see if you can do here. Is Wilson going to pull it off? Well, no. As you see, there was pressure. He does not quite make the throw. And this was kind of a trend for the Jets a bit this game, I thought, where there were certainly plays for Zach Wilson and for the Jets where he was kind of getting put in a tough spot, but also wasn't really able to make some of the plays happen. That was a real thing. Like, there were some positives. Something like this. It's going to be a 1st and 15, and it's Garrett Wilson on the outside. And you know what? Garrett Wilson one-on-one on the outside. Given the way some of these Jets receivers have been playing, if you get him one-on-one on the outside, you throw him the football. In the game for the Jets, if you look at the PFF grades, only 4 players ended up with an above 60 grade. That's usually like, a starting level player can get a 60 grade, but not a good starting level player. Only 4 players had it better than that. Breece Hall and Mekhi Becton were just above that. And then CJ Uzomah and Garrett Wilson both over in the 70s. So Wilson, highest graded player for the Jets, and he's going to show why on this play. Watch how, when Zach Wilson takes the snap, you see Garrett Wilson gets that quick inside leverage, giving Zach Wilson an easy throwing lane to make this play. But again, 1st down and 15, you want to gain as many yards as possible here. Watch Zach Wilson's throw. It really is not just a perfect throw, but a perfect throw in an area where Garrett Wilson can run after the catch and pick up more yards. Again, that completion basically has to be made, right? It just has to be made. It was that open. But what doesn't have to be made, but is a plus, is when you can hit your receiver in stride and allow him to pick up more yards after the catch. That's what you like to see. Going over here, that Garrett Wilson, Zach Wilson combination, it's something that, when the draft happened, we thought, oh man, this might be something we're hearing for decades and decades to come. And while that might not be the case, we are seeing that chemistry really come, in full swing, where obviously, kind of last year, I thought Garrett Wilson was a little bit frustrated that Zach Wilson couldn't get him the ball in certain spots. Zach Wilson doing a good job now of being better at that. So again, this is going to be a one-on-one matchup with Garrett Wilson going towards the outside right here. That's how this is going to work. Watch as Zach Wilson takes the snap. He fires it in that direction, and there is, a window for this throw to be made, certainly. Is worth mentioning, though, again, there was pressure. Zach Wilson got just crushed right after he got rid of this football. So he was not able to get his full body weight into this throw. However, still makes an accurate throw, and they're still able to pick up some yards. And again, this is what you're looking for Zach Wilson, right? You're not asking him to go out there and be Patrick Mahomes. That's what you wanted when you drafted him 2nd overall, right? That doesn't seem to be what's going to happen. So for Wilson, what you want instead is just someone who can run the offense. Someone who can, when there is a play to be made, make said play. Also heading over here, so what's going to happen on this play is it's a 3rd down and 4. It is man coverage right here, so kind of similar to what we've seen from some other plays. Okay, one-on-one matchups across the board. Let's see if someone can get open. Well, on this play, Zach Wilson takes a snap. He is going to look around and doesn't really love what he sees. Honestly, he could still maybe throw it to Garrett Wilson. That wouldn't be the worst option, but it seems like even that option needs a little bit of time for it to happen. So for Zach Wilson, he's going to try and scramble up. And, when he does scramble up, it gets sacked, it turns into a sack. This is kind of one of those things where people talk all the time about when there's a sack, usually people just blame the offensive line. That's usually what people do, right? Because that just logically, you can envision, okay, I see what happened. Offensive lineman lost to edge rusher, therefore it is on the offensive lineman. And now a lot of people have pushed back saying, like, listen, it's not always on the offensive line. Sometimes the quarterback holds on to the ball for too long, but there is that third option, which is sometimes there's a reason the quarterback holds on to the ball too long. And yes, at a certain point you would like for them to get rid of the football. On 3rd and 4, though, I don't want you to throw it away in this spot. I don't hate him trying to scramble outside the pocket. You could certainly call this a coverage sack. I think that's fair to say. So for the Jets, you have to start getting guys open more. You just do. Like this plays another example where, again, it's going to be man coverage, a 3rd down and 6 situation, and it really does feel like when Zach Wilson couldn't get the ball to Garrett Wilson, there weren't a lot of options here. Watch as when Zach Wilson takes the snap, he looks down the field, and again, doesn't love what he sees. Going to try and scramble up, see if he can make something happen. And again, as you see, as he tries to scramble up, is able to do a pretty decent job, but eventually Thibodeau brings him down, only gains a couple of yards. So that wasn't one of Thibodeau's sacks. He had 3 sacks. This one was not one of them. I made a whole video kind of talking about that final drive that's on this channel. Check that out if you want to hear my thoughts on that stuff. As a whole, definitely, there's just no getting around it. This Jets offense isn't very good, and they're trying to win games with defense, and you know what? They've done a decent job at it so far, right? They're 4-3, and the goal, of course, is, hey, let's just win enough now to where if Aaron Rodgers comes back at a certain point in the season, I've heard it speculated potentially as early as week 15 into the season, which would be with 4 games left. I don't know. Is it possible that the Jets could be on the outside of a playoff spot, fighting for a playoff spot at that point? Totally not impossible. I do think their offense is going to have to get better even to be at that point, even to be a fringe playoff team week 15 of the season. I think that's what they're going to have to do. And again, if Rodgers does come back, if this is the offense, I still don't know if they're doing a lot, right? Especially if Rodgers isn't 100%. So there's some issues that need to be fixed. Obviously, the offensive line has a ton of injuries. The receiving core isn't helping them out. And Zach Wilson, is obviously worthy of blame there as well. So just a lot of stuff going wrong, but they're making some nice plays too. So you deserve to credit. And hey, you found a way to win the game. So obviously defense is amazing for the Jets. But yeah, those are my thoughts on Zach Wilson. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.